Good morning, and welcome back to Gaming with ADHD. Today we're taking a look at how to use the Dark Apostles expansion for the Mutant Chronicles Siege of the Citadel board game. The Dark Apostles were available as bonus figures for the Dark Legion pledge level, but they were also available as separate figures in the add-ons. The rules, however, were presented as a single expansion, so the rules presented here do apply to all of the Dark Apostles. Today I'm going to go over how the rules work for these characters and take a look at some of the expansion contents in detail. So, what do you actually get in the expansion? I have already covered it in an unboxing video, which I will put a link to down below, but you get the 5 Dark Apostle figures. Each figure has one character card that it has a special ability and a cataclysm ability for that character, and 10 power cards. And that's for each character. The 5 characters are Algaroth, the Dark Apostle of War, Ilian, the Mistress of Dark Symmetry, Dem Nagonas, the Dark Apostle of Decay and Pestilence, Somay, the Herald of Spite, Master of Descent, and the one that I always mess up, Muawija, the Master of Madness. Now, you also received 6 double-sided sector tiles numbered 33 to 44. And let me get rid of that. 2 double-sided reference cards for, tracking the dice and armor, abilities of the, for the Dark Legion player. All right. So, as I said, the rules are the same for each player. So first off, at the beginning of the game, the Dark Legion player is going to take their deck of 10 cards, and they're going to take 5 of them that they are then going to use, and they're going to set the remainder aside. Now, during their first turn, they will take their deck, and they'll flip the topmost card over and treat this topmost card as the active card. Now, when it's the active card, you're going to use the text that says, when active. So in this case, the Apostle of War says, add +1 white dice to any dice roll made by Algaroth and increase his number of actions per turn by 1. Okay? So, when the Dark Apostle is wounded, then the card will indicate whether it is going to be discarded or dealt to the Doom Trooper who wounded them. So, that actually usually comes from the ability card. So, for Algaroth, when a Doom Trooper deals damage to Algaroth, deal the active power card to them. At the end of each Dark Legion turn, move the currently active power card to the bottom of the deck and flip the next power card into active state, then discard all dealt cards. So, when a Doom Trooper deals damage to Algaroth, this card would get taken, put in front of the Doom Trooper player, and left there to be active. So, in this case, when dealt, add +1 dice to any attack against the Doom Trooper holding this card. And then, if it's discarded, Algaroth gains an additional action each turn. This action can only be used to perform the move action. So, The Dark Apostle ability and character card will also give you any additional rules regarding dealing or discarding or even swapping out power cards. Now, when the Dark Apostle would take damage, as I said, you're going to deal out the cards. If for some reason there are no power cards in the deck and there are no active cards, then at that point, the Dark Apostle is defeated, they abandon their avatar, and they turn their attention elsewhere. Alternatively, if the Dark Legion player manages to eliminate all of the Doom Troopers, then obviously the Dark Legion will win. Now, there is no time limit for the scenarios that are provided in this expansion. Each Dark Apostle has one scenario specific to them. Now, when the Dark Apostle would regain health, the player actually has the choice of selecting cards from the discard pile to place on the bottom of the power deck. Now, as far as the figures are concerned, they will move and attack like Dark Legion creatures with 2 actions per round for movement and attack, or any combination of the two. So they can move twice, they could attack twice, or they could do one of each in any order. They can use both ranged and melee attacks, as you can see on the reference cards. In addition, Ilian can also make tech attacks, as are described in the rules. Now, each Dark Legion player also has the Cataclysm ability. Now, with the Cataclysm ability, the Dark Legion player can spend all of Algaroth's actions, in this case, to deal damage to a Doom Trooper equal to the number of power cards in the discard pile. So obviously, later in the game, Algaroth could be dropping a lot of damage for just a single action. If you've got 4 cards in the discard pile, that's going to be a world of hurt on a Doom Trooper. Now, when they move, they can move the Dark Legion player can move the Dark Apostle avatar up to 3 squares per move action. Now, you'll notice that Algaroth and Dem Nagonas are both on large bases. They are just over 2 inches in size, as you can see from the mat. Now, when they move as normal, but they also get to ignore any interior walls. And they can actually end their movement on top of interior walls, but not walls between sectors. So the outer border of the sector tiles. Now, as far as line of sight, if you want to shoot at these avatars, that is done as normal, and the exception being for large bases, as long as you can see any of the squares which the base occupies, then you can shoot at the Dark Apostle. Now, as I said earlier, each Dark Apostle does have one mission. It's a very story thematic type mission for that particular character. So it does give you a different flavor for each one. So let's take a look at each of the Dark Apostles, some of their power cards, and their abilities. All right. So first off, we've already gone over Algaroth and his ability, so let's look at just some of the other power cards. So we've already looked at Apostle of War. And so we've got Dark Father's Blessing. When active, add 1 dice to any dice rolls made by Dark Legion creatures, including Algaroth. When dealt, add +1 dice, +1 white to any attack against the Doom Trooper hosting this card. And when discarded, add 1 white dice to Algaroth's close combat attacks. So, just like we talked about with the heroes, as they're taking damage, they actually end up with more abilities that they can use throughout the game. We've got Dark Absorption. When active, add +1 black to Algaroth's armor checks against firearms. When dealt, add +1 white to any attack against the Doom Trooper hosting this card. Okay, so it seems like when they get dealt out, lots of bonus dice against those targets. And then when discarded, Algaroth moves an additional square during each move action. So it'll move him from 3 to 4. All right, and then we've got Necrotic Weaponry. When active, add +1 black to Algaroth's close combat attacks. When dealt, add +1 red to close combat attacks against the Doom Trooper hosting the card. And when discarded, add +1 white to Algaroth's armor check. So, needless to say, lots of damage dealing out of Algaroth. Surprise. All right, let's take a look at Ilian. So, at the start of the mission, look through Ilian's power cards and choose 2 to keep in your hand. Then create the power deck as usual. When a Doom Trooper deals damage to Ilian, choose between discarding the active power card or dealing it to that Doom Trooper. When the next power card is revealed, you can choose to swap it for one of the 2 in your hand. If you do so, the replaced power card is removed from the game. Ilian can use tech attacks against her opponents. So, already, that's pretty good to be able to take 7 out of your 10 cards in the game. So, obviously it represents the power that Ilian has in her abilities. For her Cataclysm, spend all of Ilian's actions to make 1 attack per discarded power card to all Doom Troopers adjacent to walls. All right. Stay away from the walls, guys. And gals. You know who you are. All right. We've got Ilian. When active, increase the maximum number of trap tokens to 6. When dealt, when adjacent to trap tokens, the Doom Trooper hosting this card is considered blocked. Increase the maximum number of trap tokens to 6. When discarded, increase the maximum number of trap tokens to 6. Wild Hunt. Ilian may take a special action to move up to 2 trap tokens on the game board to any empty squares of the Dark Legion player's choice. All right, so she gets to change up the battlefield a bit. Mistress of the Void. When performing firearm attacks, all figures must reroll successful hits. This affects both Corporation players and the Dark Legion player. When dealt, the Doom Trooper hosting this card rolls 1 less die when making firearm attacks. Corporation player's choice. And when discarded, Dark Transfer. Ilian may perform a special action to select 2 Doom Troopers hosting power cards and swap their power cards. So, clearly a lot of, manipulation type abilities here. When active, when performing firearm attacks, Dark Legion creatures may reroll 1 die, including Ilian. When dealt, when making an attack action, the Doom Trooper hosting this card must reroll 1 hit. And when discarded, when performing attack actions, Ilian can reroll a single die. So, definitely a very controlling character. Making sure that her abilities will allow her to control the battlefield and what is happening. All right, next we've got Dem Nagonas. All right, at the end of the Dark Legion player's turn, Dem Nagonas can choose to deal the active power card to any Doom Trooper he chooses. When a Doom Trooper deals damage to Dem Nagonas, deal the active power card to a Doom Trooper within the same sector tile as Dem Nagonas. So, obviously, he gets a lot more flexibility as to who he's going to damage, who is going to benefit from his power cards. All right? And his Cataclysm ability. Spend all of Dem Nagonas' action to deal 1 damage to every Doom Trooper with a dealt power card, ignoring their defense value. For each damage dealt unsaved, return a discarded power card to the power deck, then discard all dealt power cards. All right. The Befouler. When active, when performing an attack action, Doom Troopers must reroll one hit of their choice. When dealt, the Doom Trooper hosting this card loses 1 health. And when discarded, add 1 white to Dem Nagonas' close combat attacks. Blessing of Dem Nagonas. When active, Doom Troopers can spend 1 of their health points to gain an extra action. Well, interesting. So, sacrifice some health, but get that extra attack. When dealt, at the end of their activation, the Doom Trooper hosting this card must roll 1 red dice. On a hit result, they lose 1 health and gain +1 action. They must repeat until a blank result is gained. Ouch, that hurts. When discarded, Virulence. Dem Nagonas may perform a special action to gain 2 additional actions at the cost of an active power card. Alright. And then we'll look at one more. Debilitating Pox. When active, when declaring a move action, the Doom Trooper must roll black before any movement is made. On a blank result, the active Doom Trooper loses that action. When dealt, Doom Trooper hosting this card is always considered blocked. When discarded once per turn when drawing reinforcements, the Dark Legion player may place a force card they have just drawn onto the bottom of the deck instead of playing it. A new force card is then drawn. So, obviously, his abilities center more on disease and, slowly wearing down the Doom Troopers. Alright, Somay. Each time Somay performs an attack action, move the active power card to the bottom of the deck and flip the next power card into active state. When a Doom Trooper deals damage to Somay, deal the active card to them. Cataclysm. Spend all of Somay's actions to discard all dealt power cards. For each card discarded, draw a force card to bring in reinforcements. Okay. Alright. So, Promise of Greed. When active, as a special action, Doom Troopers may discard 1 of their equipment cards to add 1 red, equal to the discarded equipment's credit cost during their next attack action. When dealt, the Doom Trooper hosting this card can spend a promotion point once per attack to add 1 black to their roll. And when discarded, Somay moves an additional square during each move action. Tower of Malice. When active, to leave their current sector, Doom Troopers must lose 1 health. When dealt, at the beginning of the corporation player's turn, the player may choose to forfeit all of their Doom Troopers' actions this turn to discard this card. When discarded, add 1 white to Somay's armor checks. So, definitely, makes the players sacrifice in order to get some stuff out of him. Alright. Muawija. Once per turn, when Muawija deals damage to a Doom Trooper, they can choose to deal the active power card to them. When flipping a power card into active state, look at the top 2 cards of the power deck and choose which one to flip. Move the other card to the bottom of the power deck. Alright, that's cool. Get some flexibility in which power cards you're going to be using. Cataclysm. Spend all of Muawija's actions to discard all dealt power cards. For each card discarded, a Doom Trooper executes an action as dictated by the Dark Legion player. Now that's cool. Being able to take over the Doom Troopers, especially in like a later game where they're higher level and have better equipment, that isn't going to end well. Alright, let's take a look at a couple of his powers. Millstone. When active, Well of Despair. Muawija may take a special action to perform a close combat attack against a viable target, using a number of black dice equal to the number of discarded Doom Trooper cards to a maximum of 6. When dealt, whenever performing an action after having performed their 2 standard actions, Doom Trooper hosting this card loses 1 health. The corporation player may discard a Doom Trooper card to discard this power card. When discarded, the Dark Legion player draws 1 extra force card when drawing reinforcements. Alright, and Haunting Stupor. When active, Well of Despair. Muawija may take a special action to perform a close combat attack against a viable target using a number of black dice equal to the number of discarded Doom Trooper cards to a maximum of 6 dice. So, alright, same as Millstone. When dealt, the Doom Trooper hosting this card is unable to move. Any corporation's player may discard a Doom Trooper card to give them 2 move actions. The corporation player may discard a Doom Trooper card to discard this power card. And then when discarded, as a special action, Doom Troopers may draw a Doom Trooper card. So, obviously, it is going to mess with the players. Make them, think about what kind of actions they have to take, or just mess with their abilities. If I can get the camera to refocus. Apparently not. Anyways, so that is a quick look at the Dark Apostles expansion. If you liked it, if you liked the content that I'm putting out, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe to the channel. I'm constantly trying to get more content out and look at more of the fun things that I've got in my collection. And I really do enjoy it, being able to share it with you. So, let me know what you thought down in the comments. Or have you used the Dark Apostles expansion yet yourself? If so, what was your favorite part about it? What did you think worked well? What did you think didn't work well? Did you like the scenarios provided? Have you made your own scenarios? Let us know in the comments below, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks for watching.